Good afternoon, students. Today we are going to study this very fine sonnet on his blindness, which is written by John Milton. Okay, we have already discussed the biography of John Milton, that where he was born, okay, how he has completed his education, what was his literary contribution to English literature. All these things we have already discussed in the separate lecture. So, before heading towards the poem, let's just revise some of the aspect of his biography. See, when we were reading the biography, we know that John Milton he became blind in 1652. Okay, he was at that time 44 years of age. Okay, so he was pretty young. He was in his middle ages. Suddenly, he became blind. Okay, so he felt very gloomy. He felt that my life it is full of gloom and despair. Okay, he was very sorrowful and filled with all grief due to the loss of his eyesight, right? So this thought, it just disturbed him so much. Okay, so in a way, at this time his learning of religious and biblical literature it come to his rescue. Okay, his faith in God and religion it come forth all in this sonnet, right? So this sonnet it is autobiographical. Okay, it reflect poet's sorrow and grief due to the loss of his eyesight. Okay, because the central idea is that he's thinking that this is the one thing that God has said to me. This is my one talent, that I can write a fine poems. See, when we discuss about poetry, right? When we talk about Plato or Aristotle at that time, what they said that poetry, the composition of poetry, it is a very difficult task. Okay, so Plato, he was the first to use this term mimesis in connection with poetry. Okay, what he said that poetry, it has this mimetic or imitative quality. Okay, so whatever we compose, this is a kind of imitation of something, right? It is already an imitation of a already prescribed idea. So what Plato, he used to think that poetry, okay, it is not a craft that can be learned and practiced at the will. So what he said, he said that it is the result of divine inspiration. And Milton, usually tends to follow this kind of tradition. When we read his Paradise Lost, okay, he invocate to God at that time to give this divine inspiration, this poetic inspiration to write the poetry. The same kind of idea we see in the sonnets of, in the poems of Milton also. This idea or the concept of poetic inspiration. So where we were talking about Plato, and he said that this imitation, this mimesis, this is a mere representation. Okay, it is just a kind of imitation of some ideas. So in a way, poetry, he said, it was thrice removed from reality. So this was the Platonic concept of poetry. Okay, but Aristotle, who was his disciple, he completely changed or opposed this idea, and he provide a kind of defense. Okay, so this idea of mimesis, he just gave it a new and definite meaning. So what he said, what Aristotle said, that poetic imitation is not a mimicry or a act of copying, but he said, it is an act of imaginative recreation. So where the poet He's drawing his material from the phenomenal world, making something new out of it. So in a way, he defends all kind of art forms. Okay, so he said that okay, all these things, they are very important. Okay, so Plato, while he just equate poetry with painting, Aristotle equate this with music. Okay, so what he's trying to say this, that a poet, through his language, rhymes and harmony, it reproduce a kind of higher reality within the creation. Okay, so this is the thing. So we are focusing upon these aspects of poetry. Okay, so we are talking about this thing, that how poetry, it just recreate reality, it just create the reality creatively, and try to bring us out, out of chaos. The same thing we are going to see here, that how with the poetry he tried to bring out the chaos of his mind. Okay, he just came out from the chaos of his mind. Okay, so what was that chaos? His chaos was the loss of his eyesight. Same thing we are going to find here also. Okay, so yes, so this is, as I have discussed, this was a autobiographical kind of poem, and yes, at the same time this is a sonnet. Okay, and Milton's sonnet, they are basically patterned on the sonnet, in the format of, or on the sonnet of Petrarch, that was an Italian poet. So what he has done, he divided the poem into two parts. There is the octave and set. Okay, तो octave का जो rhyme scheme होता है, it is fixed. What is that? That is A B B A A B B A, and then there is the set. Okay, D E D D C D E C D E, whatever pattern the poet wants to choose of set. These are the two patterns. Okay, so octave consists of 8 lines. Okay, they are written in the form of A B B A. So what is A B B A? We are revising it again. A B B A. That means that the first line, it is going to rhyme with the fourth line, and second and third line, they are going to rhyme together. So this is the octave. 4 lines, they are rhyming with each other. Okay, so octave is basically 8 lines. Okay, and set, it consists of 6 lines. So these are the rest 6 lines of the poem. Okay, the 6 lines. These are the 3 lines which are going to rhyme together, and these are the rest 3 final lines. Okay, so this sonnet, this has this tradition of Petrarchian sonnet. Okay, so rhyme scheme of octave is fixed but not of set. तो 2 तरीके के फॉर्मेट होते हैं of set in a Petrarchian sonnet, that is DED, DED and CDE and CDE. Again, what is that? DED. Okay, either these 2 lines are going to rhyme with each other, or they are not going to rhyme at all. Okay, so this is the format of set, that the poet, they accordingly choose whatever is there, whatever pattern they want to choose. So जो sonnet होती है, just express one idea or emotion. Okay, so this kind of pattern, it is also known as Miltonic sonnet. Okay, so this was the thing. See, when we were reading the biography, we know this thing, that he has wrote some fine sonnet on religion and politics subjects. Okay, so this is a kind of innovation which broke the tradition, that the sonnet has to be a love poem. शेक्सपियर में हम क्या देखते थे, जितनी भी सोनेट्स होती थी वो ज़्यादातर लव पोएम्स ही थी, राइट? तो वो जो ट्रेडिशन है वो मिल्टन ने ब्रेक किया है. दिस वाज ए इनोवेटिव थिंग दैट ही हैज़ ट्राइड. ओके, सो जितनी भी उसकी ये जो कलेक्शन है ऑफ द पोएम्स, इट इज़ published in one volume which entitled Poems, that was published in 1645. So what is unique about Milton's sonnet or Milton's writing? So Milton is, you know what he does, he do some unusual combination of splendid and magnificent language, okay, with an absolute integrity of character that refused to serve from its moral conventions. Okay, his major subject, they were universal importance. Okay, the same kind of definition that the God has given him some kind of work, so that work or that talent, he has to use that talent, he has to obey God, so this sonnet basically, it leaves behind the romanticism of Elizabethan love sonnet, and it become an expression of spiritual struggle and sublime resolution. ठीक है, तो यहाँ पे हम देखेंगे कि very lofty language has been used. Okay, in the sonnet it conveyed deeply the sincere feelings of devotion and service of God. If you remember this saying, the poet, he belongs to the era of Puritan age. Okay, to purify the religion. This was the prime motto of that time. So in a way, he is one of the representative poet of that time. So he is just doing his duty. Okay, and what is that duty? Is to write the poem. So this is the duty given by God. He's thinking that. Okay. So in his poem or in the sonnet, we will find this sincere feeling of devotion and service to God. Okay, his faith in divine. Okay, and in his trust in the benevolence of God. Okay, so this was the thing. This was some of the background that I want to tell you. Okay, so let's just read it. Now, when I consider how my light is spent, okay, when I think that how my light is spent, देखो light जो है, this is a kind of metaphor. Okay. So this light, it is a metaphor for vision, for eyesight. Okay, sometime like that. Okay, so he is just considering this thing. How my light is spent. The light is spent, it means that how light of my eyes, right? How it is, how I have lost my eyesight, right? So he is just considering these things that, okay, how I have lost my vision, how I have, lost the light of my my eyes. Okay, so this is a kind of, see, he hasn't written very clearly about his blindness, but in a way we are just assuming this thing that he's talking about his blindness at that time. Okay, so again, this metaphor, this is very complicated. So he's just saying that how his light can be spent, light is spent, this is, that how he has spent his vision, that is now gone. It means that how he has utilized that vision, जो अब चली गई. He is just considering his life, at the very in a very middle ages, in a very early ages, he become blind. Okay. So he is just assuming this thing, he is going in his deep thoughts that, see, before I was blind, how my life was spent, how I have spent, how I have used my eyes, how I have used my eyes, how I have used, how I live my life before I become completely blind. Okay. Ere half-mile race in this dark world and wide, and that one talent which that is to hide, lodged with me useless. Okay. See, he said here, ere, it means before half my days. Half my days का क्या मतलब है? We know this thing, that half of my days they are spent. Okay. See, this is the thing. He just tried to mention it here that his life is halfway over. Okay, I have now become blind, and my age is already spent. I have spent half of my time, half of my age I have already spent. Okay, he's just analyzing this thing that how I have spent all this time. Okay, so this is the thing, in this dark world and white. Okay, so he's calling the world dark and wide. Okay, so these are his feelings. He is now finding the world dark. The sound. He just trying to sound it like world is some fearful place. Okay, so he is just trying to present here that world. His word is done out of light. Okay, and it is growing dark. Everything is dark for a blind person, right? He cannot see, he cannot enjoy the beauty of word now, because he has lost his eyesight in the middle ages of his middle years of his life. So this thought, it is very disturbing him, and he is finding the word which is now to him a dark word. Okay, and wide, and that one talent which is death to hide. See, this is the word talent. Talent means hota hai skill. Okay, so this is a reference. If you want to write, you can write it. This is a reference to the biblical parable of talent. क्या है, एक बड़ी इंटरेस्टिंग स्टोरी है यहाँ पे that we find in Saint Matthew 25. Okay, this is the gospel. Okay, this is the story, the parable of talents in a gospel. What has happened? There were God has given his 3 servants some money. Okay, so there are basically two kind of stories. I'm just referring to one. Okay, the story which is mentioned in Matthew 25, the parable of talents. So what Lord has, Lord has given 3 servants some money, which he called talent. Okay, so, and what he has done, he has given them 1 talent. Okay, so the money he called the talent. Okay, so he just given him, and he has he has just instructed the servants to make the fine use of the money, right? So he went on a long journey, and when he returned, he found that first 2 servants, they had invested the money wisely. Okay, and they gained more money out of that. But there were 1 servant. Okay, the third one, he was unwilling to use this talent. And this is a money, all right. They have called money talent at that time. And what he has done, he has hidden it. So the master, he praised and rewarded the first 2 servants and punished the third for his foolishness. Where was I? So yeah, so in this way, Milton, he's just comparing himself to this third servant. Okay, but his situation, it is a little different. This is his blindness that prevent him for using his talent. Okay, so I guess you understand this word talent now, what this word talent means, right? So he said that this is one skill that God has given me. Just try to take the reference, try to understand the reference, right? So this is a kind of reference he has taken from this biblical inclination. Okay, so this one talent, this one skill that God has given him, this God has given him the skill. And what is that skill? The poet, he has the skill of writing poetry. Okay, so this is a kind of illusion that has taken from the history of Bible. Okay, So as I have said that in ancient time the talent, it was used as a weight or unit or weight by which the money was measured. I guess now you understand this thing, है ना. जैसे अभी पाउंड या रुपी यूज़ होता है एज अ यूनिट फॉर बोथ वेट एंड करेंसी, नॉट रुपी ओनली पाउंड. पाउंड इज़ यूज फॉर बोथ वेट एंड करेंसी, है ना. जो हम अपना वेट है हम पाउंड्स में भी कैलकुलेट करते हैं, एंड एट द सेम टाइम पाउंड जो होता है करेंसी भी है. Same way, talent in ancient time, it was used as a unit or weight by which money was measured. Okay, so we know now the story of the parable of talent, right? So now, so what he said, okay, what God has done to the third servant who hasn't used the talent, what he has done, he has exiled the third person into darkness, so which is now similar to death, right? So when Milton say the talent is death to hide, he is referring to that biblical story and also to his talent, to his own talent. What is that talent? The talent is to write poetry. Okay, so this is, we are just making a guesses that okay, what can be his talent. His talent can be his intelligence and his intelligence and his writing skills. So this talent is lodged. Lodged means what? It is buried within the speaker, okay, and he cannot use it to make a greater profit. So he is very afraid. He just fear this thing that God will be angry. Okay, so this thought, this disturbed him, that he will not able to utilize this enormous talent which God has endowed him with. So doubt, it just entered his mind, and he feared that God will be angry, just like in the story we have just studied. Okay, so God will be angry, and I will send to the darkness, which is just like death to him. So lodge with me useless, through my soul more bent. He said that it is lodged, it is just buried inside me. Okay, it is just inside me, it is just buried inside me. This talent, it is just buried inside me. I am not making use, I am not making anything profitable out of that talent. Okay, so what he said, that his talent, it is as useless as the money buried in the desert. Same like that. Okay, and he said that but though my soul is more bent. Okay, he said that his soul is bent. It means his soul desires to use his skill to his maker, to God. Okay, although I want to use this talent. Okay, so he's just trying to say here that it is not my unwillingness or lack of desire that I am not using the skill, the talent that God has given me. Okay, this is not the thing. It is due to the blindness that I am not able to use my talent of writing poetry. Okay, this is the reason he said that my soul, it is bent. I want to use the skill in your service, in the service of God. Okay, but because of this blindness I cannot use this talent, and the talent is lodged within me, useless. Okay, my soul is more bent to serve my maker. My maker, who is this maker? The maker is the one who has created us, that is the God. So according to Milton, what he said, that yes, my soul is my soul desire to use this talent to serve my God, right, and present my true account, least he returning child. He said that I want to present my record. What is my record? Okay, to present my true account. What is this account? Account means whatever he has done till now, how he has used his talent till now. I just want to present that account, that record. of activities, whatever he has done till now, I want to present it before my Lord. I want to present the true account in front of the God. Okay, so he just want to present a kind of record of accomplishment he has till now, right? He just want to present it in front of God, right? But he is fearful. He fears that God will be angry for not using the talent. And what is that talent? The talent of poetic creation. All right, this was the thing. Now, least he returned child, dot God exacted evil, light denied. Okay, so what he's saying, that I want to present whatever I have accomplished till now in front of God, but he is fearful. He said that maybe he will chide. Chide, that means that rebuking. He will rebuke me. He will scold me. Okay, right. Okay, so he will do what? God will scold him or child him. You know, he is just thinking about the story of that parable, right? He said that okay, maybe God will rebuke me, God will scold me, okay, because I haven't utilized um, the the talent. I have not utilized the talent God has given me. Okay, now, doth God exact day labor, light denied, right? Now, what he said, um, you know, do, doth means do God exact day labor, light denied. See what he's trying to say. He said he's just asking this thing, you know, he's thinking and he's asking that whether God demands exact, okay, people to do the hard work, day labor. Okay, he's just thinking this thing that, you know, if the light is denied, that means even if I have lost my eyesight, if people they have lost their eyesight, even then also do God want the people to work? Okay, labor, it means work. Okay, it means working. Okay, day labor. So what he's just trying to say here, that that, you know, even if I have lost my eyesight, do God will scold me of not doing the work that he has given me, that he has entrusted me with. Okay, so he said that okay, he is blind. Okay, and he said that you know, I cannot work in a condition like that. Okay, so he said that okay, that you know, do God demand the work at that time also, when there is, you know, I have lost my eyesight? So this demanding of work, this is a kind of payment that he think is due to him. Okay, that he has to pay. Okay, he has given him a kind of talent, and he has to uh, you know, return the kind of payment in form of work to God. Okay, so he is afraid, he is full of fear, and he is just thinking this thing. Okay, that, you know, doubt, it just enters his mind, and fear that maybe God will be angry because I am not using this talent because of my blindness. Right, I fondly ask. Okay, I just ask that thing. Fondly. What is fondly? Fondly means foolishly. I ask it very foolishly. Okay? Fondly here does not mean lovingly. Fondly basically means lovingly, but no, here it means foolishly. He's just accusing himself being an idiot for even thinking this question. Okay? Why he called himself foolish, that we are going to see in the last paragraph. Right, so he is asking it very foolishly. Okay, now there is a character called patience. Patience, I get you all know what is patience. Patience is endurance. Okay, dhairya. So this is a personification of a abstract quality. Okay, तो patience जो है it enters. Okay, patience यानी कि धैर्य जो है it work as a person, as a character here. So there is the personification here. Okay, so patience is personified. Okay, it is personified as someone who can talk to the speaker. और पेशेंस जैसे ऐसे ऐसे जो वर्चूज़ हैं ना, इनको बहुत ज़्यादा पर्सोनिफाइड किया जाता था क्रिश्चियन आर्ट में. ओके, बिकॉज ऑफ देयर रोल इन प्लेइंग वन टू अचीव दिस इम्पॉर्टेंट वर्चूज़, जैसे कि करेज और विजडम पाने के लिए इस तरीके की जो क्वालिटीज़ हैं, इस तरह की जो एब्स्ट्रैक्ट क्वालिटीज़ हैं, उन्हें पर्सोनिफाई किया जाता था. सो पेशेंस इज़ व्हाट? It is the quality of being patient. All right. So, patience as a person, as a character, it enters the poem now. Patience, what patience said to the writer? To prevent that murmur, soon replies. Okay, that murmur, that means he's speaking, he's uttering these words, these questions to God, whether God is that kind of cruel that he is making some impossible demand of work, but patience it enters, okay, and stop him by the answer. So whatever is left in the poem, this is just a reply made by the patience. So what patience said? God doth not need either men's work or his own gifts. He said that God do not need either men's work or his own gift. Okay, he said that God does not need anything in return. God himself, God is complete and perfect. He does not need any kind of work or talent or gifts of any kind. So whatever gifts he has given to you, he does not need anything in return. Okay, so this is the first point. Second point, what he said, bear his mild yoke. They serve him. Who best bear his mild yoke? They serve him best. So what is the second point? Patience said is those people, they are the best servants, okay, who allow their fates to be linked with and controlled by God, as if they are wearing a yoke. Okay, so these kind of people, who bear his mild yoke, they serve him the best. Okay, so those people who are best servants of God, okay, and those people who allow their fate to link with God and they let him control, okay, their fate, okay, they serve him the best. Then he said, okay, he said that what it means. It means that accept the things as they come, especially what the suffering and the misfortune. So what he is just trying to point out here, that you have to accept the things, you have to accept the suffering and the misfortune. And for writer and for our poet, what is the suffering? What is his misfortune? That is the blindness. देखो योग क्या होता है? दैट इज़ योग होता है एक वुडन फ्रेम जो फार्म के जो एनिमल्स होते हैं उनको कंट्रोल करने के लिए उनके नेक के चारों ओर रखा जाता है. ठीक है, जैसे कि ऑक्स होती है, काव होती है, सो दैट दे कैन बी डायरेक्टेड. बट येस एट द सेम टाइम ही पेशेंस जो है उस गॉड को किसी अनकाइंड पर्सन की तरह नहीं साउंड करना चाहते. तो व्हाट ही सेड, माइल्ड योग. ओके, सो what he said, that he said that you can be loyal to God and all these things. This loyalty can be based on how you handle your submission to God, right? So this is the thing, this is why he said that wearing a yoke, mild yoke, he said now his state is kingly. Okay, So he said, the final point what Patience said, he said that God is like a king, not a lord. Okay, getting it? So he said that he is a king, not lord. Just like in the, if you remember um, the story that I told you, that there was a lord who has done what? He has given his servants, his 3 servants, some talent. So he is just making it clear this thing, that his state is kingly, he is king, not the lord. Okay. So the Lord, what usually a Lord does, he does not keep such servants who, who are useless. But Lord, but God, he has this king-like state. Okay, kings, what basically kings do? Kings have like unlimited resource. Okay, if they are controlling a big state, so for God is basically controlling the entire earth. Alright, so with his kingly state, thousands at its bidding speed and post over land and ocean without rest. They also serve who only stand and wait. So since God has a kingly state, he basically have various other people. They serve. Who are they? Okay. Where is that? Yes, 1,000 at his bidding speed. Okay, so these are the angels he's talking about. There are various angels. Okay, so what he said, that he has this kingly status. God has plenty of worshipper who do his bidding by rushing from places to places. Okay, they do things that require light and vision. Okay, so it does not make a difference whether one person fulfills the role or not. So what he's just trying to say here, that God doesn't need any service in return for the gifts that he bestow upon men. So God already have thousands of angels who fly over land and sea to carry his commandments. Alright, so so what writer should do? Writer should not be unhappy. No, he should not be doubtful or fearful. So what the Patience was saying to him, that you should bear the misfortune and misery that laid upon him by God with patience, and at the same time he has to serve him. Okay, so what he said in the final line, they also serve those who only stand and wait. What it means, he said that the people, people who only wait, who only stand and wait patiently, they also serve him. Okay, तो ज़रूरी नहीं है that you are not doing anything तो तुम God को serve नहीं कर रहे. No, according to writer, those people who submit patiently and cheerfully to God's will, they are also providing best services. Okay, so the poem, it ends here with a sign of the speaker's disability. Okay, एक तरीके से he's just giving him a kind of hint. He's just suggesting him that okay, those people, they also in a way they are serving God by doing nothing, by waiting patiently and cheerfully, and cheerfully taking the burden of suffering that God places on them. Okay, so this is the thing, that okay, maybe you can do what? You can just wait and just try to endure the burden of suffering peacefully and patiently. So this is the thing, that okay, you should wait and you should just wait. In this way you can also, get a chance to receive the mercy of God. Okay, so he's just trying to say here that those who are not able to serve God, they should simply stand in service of God and wait for their chance to receive the orders from God and receive mercy from God. So this was the thing. This was whole poem. This is the thing that he's just trying to present us here. Okay, so in a way the poem, it just provide us a kind of lofty language, a kind of deep sincere feeling of devotion and service of God. Okay, the sonnet is just trying to convey us all these things. Okay, so in a way writer himself is clearing his own doubts, his own fear. So the best way is what is the best way? The best way is to serve God patiently and waiting, to have patience. Okay, this is the best way to serve God. Okay, and what he's just trying to say? He's just trying to say that you have to patiently accept whatever suffering and misery you are in. Okay, you have to patiently accept whatever is written in your fate. Okay, and while you are doing this thing, this is even a way of serving God, right? So this is the thing, and this philosophy is very near to Indian philosophy of Ved and Bhagavad. Okay, what Veds and Bhagavad, they tell to they teaches us, they teach men to do his duty towards God and society, and to have faith in deed of God. So this is what the writer here, the poet here, is trying to represent it. He is just trying to present us the kind of philosophy that whatever is done by God, it is essential and it is done for the ultimate good of mankind. So this was the thing. This was this very interesting, very philosophical kind of sonnet. Okay, try to make a summary out of it. All right. So yes, we will meet again with the second poem of Milton. Okay. Till then, keep reading. Take care.